Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. We are now in the thick of day 22, and if you thought there wasn't going to be any aftermath to the David debacle of day 21, which we detailed earlier today, think again. The aftermath is here. It is messy, and it remains to be seen what Davon, Tyler, everyone else is going to make about some of the stuff that David has thrown out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of cleanup going up today with Tyler, Cody, Davon. Everybody is trying to clean up the mess that David made.
Yeah, and basically, for those who didn't know, David went around and said that Tyler, Cody, Janelle, all were commenting about Davon being on the fence about voting out Nicole Anthony last week. That is the origin. Before we get into anything more here, though, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and yeah, if you want to support us further, check the link in the description to our Patreon. That is, for those who don't know, I know there were some comments about this. It is a service where you can help support us by making a monthly donation, and you get a number of different benefits in return. We appreciate anyone who wants to look at that, or our store where we sell shirts and a lot of other cool stuff.
Okay, so Davon decided to go and sort of check all the sources here of everything. I mean, that conversation last night with David went really sideways. We have a lot more on that in the link below. We'll link it for you below in another video. But she really needed to go and check, is what David is saying true? Is it not true? Sort of feel other people out. So she made a stop and talked to Tyler, and Tyler, I think, did a pretty good job putting the blame on Kaser. And part of the reason I think that it worked as well as it did is because it's still a half-truth. While Tyler had a little bit of a hand in stuff, Kaser also had his hand in that. So putting the blame over there and saying, you know, Kaser was telling people that he thought he had Davon's vote, that's not untrue. So it worked.
Kaser,
to some degree, and I feel like Davon believed it because it's true.
I think Kaser is just going to be blamed ultimately for every single thing that is under the sun, and I hope that he is prepared for this. Nobody else is going to be guilty of doing anything else so long as Kaser is in the game, and we have all seen this before. It kind of happened with Kimmy last season, where Kimmy somehow was responsible for every single thing, including things that she never even thought of.
Yep.
It's gonna be the same thing probably with Kaser. I hope that Davon isn't buying it fully. Like Jess said, it seemed like she was kind of buying into some of what Tyler was saying. Cody really sort of leaned in further and threw David under the bus, maybe a little bit more than Tyler did, but, you know, Cody's not working with David as closely, so I think he's fine with that.
Yeah, Tyler didn't necessarily just sort of throw David under the bus and then run him over. He did say, you know, that it felt like sort of a breakdown of communication where Kaser may have said this to David. David didn't know really what to believe. David, you know, said the story again, but, you know, like broken telephone, the story changes, and then we're all in this position kind of thing.
One of the things that's going to be the most interesting to me in the long term here is Davon and Bailey. They may be very close. Like, they are an alliance, but just because you're working with someone doesn't mean you're in lockstep all the time. And I think Davon, she's got more of a sense of closeness to some of the people in the great Memphis Blob Alliance that has taken over a lot of this season. But Bailey, she's a little bit more of the skeptic. Like, they kind of have an interesting sort of dynamic where it's not full X-Files where you've got one person fully believing in supernatural and one person not, but it is a lot of Bailey really is the skeptical one about a lot of this stuff with the Blob.
And I think it's going to be really interesting with who wins this next HOH on where I think Tyler's going to land with these alliances, because they are fractured right now. And yeah, it's one big blob, but there's little blobs going in on it. And that conversation that Tyler had with Bailey, where they kind of were like, yeah, well, you know, we can work together and we can be each other's, you know, best guy, best girl kind of thing. I think that that can hold some sort of water if that side ends up winning, and that then maybe Tyler will move over to that side and maybe bring over Christmas. Then we got Bailey, then we got Devon. I mean, this can start to move over there. It's really, this HOH is going to change things a little bit.
Let us hope that a Bailey, a Devon, a Kaser will find a way to get some of this power, especially because dynamics are changing in that we do have sort of the Tyler side of the Blob Alliance. Maybe there is flexibility there because of Bailey, but then you also have the Nicole and the Cody side of the Blob Alliance. And finally, it seems like Janelle and Kaser are off this just terrible idea that Kevin needs to be a nominee if somebody on that side gets power. Finally, they're kind of over this.
Yeah, they're starting to move in a different direction. Janelle is still convinced that there is going to be some sort of battle back. And I mean, us on the outside, we know that there's probably not right now going to be one, at least with Keisha and Nicole Anthony, because they know stuff that's happening in the house. Personally, if Nicole Anthony has been shown who the entire alliance is and they allow her to go back in the house, I'm not interested in watching that game. Of course, we'll still continue to cover it, but I don't want to see somebody come back in with that much knowledge of the game, because then the game's not really that pure anymore.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing Nicole Anthony or Keisha back. I think they're done, but I think that the thing is that logically, it makes zero sense for there to be a battle back for every reason that you just spelled out perfectly. But here's the problem, or it's not a problem for all the Janelle fans out there, but CBS, this is a business, and they're going to do whatever they think is going to make them the most money. So Big Brother's never been inherently that fair. I would not put it past them in a million years that they have a secret battle back button that they press the moment that Janelle is evicted from this game, and you can wear the tinfoil hat or not, but if they are extremely paranoid that they're going to lose viewers, maybe they'll lose a few, maybe they'll lose 1,000, 10,000, I don't know. They may press that button and Janelle may end up being proven right in all of this.
They've just lost, if they lose Janelle, they've lost a lot of sort of America's favorite players are all kind of going out the door one after another. So I would imagine that CBS is getting a little nervous. And Janelle has mentioned that production allegedly told her that they're keeping her until mid-September. We don't know if that's true. We don't know if she told that as a lie or what's going on. But she did mention to Bailey this idea that she wants, if she leaves, she wants her and Kaser to get Nicole out so that she can fight her in a battle back into the house.
This is Janelle going full gladiator, where she wants to be able to have the Nicole showdown to defeat her and then become, are you not entertained at the rest of the crowd? It's Janelle, don't get me wrong, if this happens, it will be very entertaining, but you're really crafting a scenario here where, number one, there's a battle back. Number two, Nicole is evicted. Number three, you're going to beat Nicole in a battle back.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where she's coming from, and that there's a little bit in here that's a little more personal, that she's like, I want to take down Nicole. Yeah. And I appreciate that that's where she's coming from. But strategically, there might be other people that don't win as much stuff that might be the better person, that if there was a battle back, that maybe she would have a better chance of beating over Nicole.
I think because this conversation involving Kaser, Janelle, Bailey, where they talked about things, and eventually Kaser was convinced to be on the wavelength of having Cody and Nicole as nominees, thankfully, because Kaser's going to get crazy and do something not good here. But strategically, that's actually a really good move because they're both a part of a big alliance. If you're thinking from that standpoint, as opposed to Janelle wants to ride in on the horse, hoisting the sword over her head, like, that makes sense. The revenge angle, that's just Janelle.
Yeah, it is, and it will be entertaining if it actually happens, but I still am skeptical on the whole battle back. Do I think there might be some way that she can get herself back into the game? Yes, but is it like gonna be her competing against other people? I'm not sure. It might be just her competing against herself, some sort of special reset puzzle, whatever button to send her back in. Maybe it might be that.
Yeah, I gotta correct myself here for a second, because I said Cody and Nicole. That was initially the idea. It eventually sort of morphed into, okay, maybe Nicole and Danny would be the way that would kind of cause the most chaos in the house. And I agree. If there's Nicole and Danny are on the block together, isn't there a good chance that blob just sort of disintegrates into like ash?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to sort of see which way that they would go on that. And I think Danny's probably a good person to put up against her because she hasn't won. So, getting out a winner, they need to get the winners out.
Yeah. You can get out a winner in Nicole. If nothing else, even if you get out Danny, you get out somebody who has been very messy as of late, somebody who is connected to a lot of people. You get rid of what is essentially a pregame alliance of two people who know each other really well.
Yep.
We also have here, finally, Nicole. This is what Nicole's goal is over the next day or so, and we can file this under things that are probably not going to happen. Nicole wants to sort of concoct this situation where Janelle magically thinks that she is going to be staying tomorrow night. That way, Janelle doesn't blow up the house, a.k.a. blow up Nicole's game in the process.
This is so ridiculous. There is no way that Nicole is going to be able to convince Janelle that she is safe. One, Janelle does not trust anything that Nicole says. So that's not the way that it's going to work. And then, so Nicole would have to actually sort of convince the whole house or people that Janelle trusts to convince Janelle in one day that she is going to be safe. And I don't know how Nicole would be able to actually convince anybody of that because nobody cares if Janelle ends up blowing up Nicole's game. Yeah. It doesn't benefit anyone to go to this length to deceive Janelle, who might come back into the game. This is just one of the more outrageous plans that I've heard. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way that this is going to happen. I think most people, other than Nicole and maybe David, are smart enough to know that either there is a battle back potentially, or what if there was a really big jury? Like, what if the whole season was the jury, and then David has just been really just ticking off Janelle and Kaser with this nonsense about you don't have enough credit with me, and they're never going to want to vote for him because of that.
The thing that Nicole should do if she's really worried about this, of whatever it is that Janelle's going to blow up, and let's just not forget here that she's already brought up a bunch of stuff outside the house. So this stuff is already out there. Nicole just might not know about it yet. Yeah. Nicole just needs to get out in front of it. If that's what her issue is, get out in front of it and create your own narrative with it. And that way, Janelle can't take that away from you. That is your best play. This play, let's convince Janelle she's staying so that she doesn't blow up her game. This is not the play. This play is going nowhere.
I feel like there is a good 40 to 50% chance that things really hit the fan by the end of today. This is the last full day Janelle probably will have in the house this season.
Yep.
She might as well throw some Hail Marys out here, unless she's like really thinking that maybe Kaser has a chance if she's not there. But I think you can't fully think about Kaser. You have to think about yourself in this situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, she has thrown out some deals. She's thrown out her wedding ring. She's thrown out almost everything.
She has, and it's so bizarre that these past, 24 hours have become overshadowed by David, someone who's not even on the block and probably would not have even been nominated for at least a month if he had just sat somewhere and not said anything in this scenario.
This David thing is so crazy. I can't even believe that turned into such a gong show last night for no reason.
All right, well, let's turn this over to you guys. Do you think that Davon is going to buy fully Tyler and Cody's explanations? Do you think that Bailey could help her see a different side? What do you think is going to happen with Janelle in a battle back, if there even is one? Let us know in the comments, and if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further, check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.